All right, good morning, traders. It's August 28th, 2025. My name is John Carignan. I'm the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. That is the day trading service for the hit and run candlesticks family. Thank you, everybody out there in podcast land, digital land, cyber land. You all know who you are. Thank you so much. Thank you. Special shout out to John Jordan, Bob Jordan, Kathy, Sarah Roasted. Thank you for sharing my content. Appreciate that. Thank you, everybody that's joining me on my trading journey. Appreciate that. Love all the likes, the follows, the subscriptions, the thumbs up, and the sharing. Appreciate all of that. Thank you so much for the feedback and the kind comments. Kind comments really help a lot, all right? Thank you for being there for me, all right? Along with me on my trading journey. Thank you. All right, let's get down to what's going on, okay? Let's take a look at yesterday real quick, okay? So here's our performance for yesterday. 81K here on 472K of capital. Okay, that was yesterday. These are the results. Trade 1, trade 2, you see it all the way up to trade 13. Day before we did 30K. On Monday we did 79K. Okay, so having an awesome week. All right, right there, awesome week. So this is the account. It's a 27K account. Started on open house on August 4th, 2025. Okay, my goal every day, make 1%. Okay, try to make more than 1%, but the goal is 1%. All right, try to make more. Okay, so anything over my 1% schedule, I can use as risk, as needed, as I see fit. Okay, but I cannot fall behind my 1% schedule. All right, so for performance for yesterday, I'll just show you what products were traded because this doesn't tell you much at all. So let me see if I got the products traded up here. Okay, so you can see mostly all calls. Okay, you can see right here is the days till expiration, 16 days till expiration, 670 calls. 9 days, my eyes aren't that good. Okay, so 9 days till expiration, 655 calls. 650 calls, 2 days till expiration. QQQ 580 calls, 2 days till expiration. You see it all right here. See, and there's the P&L right there. This is the product traded. This is the days till expiration. And these are the strikes here out on the end of the product. Okay, and that's my closing position as of last night. Okay. So nice day for a lot of us here in the room at the BYOB Trading Room. Let's take care of this, get this out of the way. Don't need that anymore. Let's take a look at the morning monologue and get that open. And we have that right here. All right, so again, good morning. My SPY pivot today, all right, 6:45.30. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. IWM made a new rally high yesterday. SPY made a new all-time high. IWM, FNGU, Diamond Dow, and QQQ all made higher highs and higher lows, closing over bullish traps and over their 17 EMAs. Again, SPY made a new all-time high. It closed with a 2-hour uptrend and a 10-minute consolidation. So it was up and it was under and it was over. And it left off under, but I'm just going to call it consolidation because it seemed to hold that higher ground up there. So 10-minute consolidation. All right. Silver still in an uptrend, made a lower high and a lower low, closing inside a bullish trap over the 17. Gold still in an uptrend, hanging out above that $300 level. Again, now 4 months straight. Nice. Holding that higher ground. In an uptrend, made a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. USO in a daily downtrend, made an inside day. That's a lower high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. UNG made a new all-time high, not yesterday, but the day before, made a new all-time low, not yesterday, but the day before. Yesterday, it made a higher high and a higher low, closing inside a bearish trap under the 17 EMA. US dollar index back in a downtrend, closed near the 98.13 area. SPY max pain 645 with a put to call ratio of about 1.1 put for each call that expires today at 4:15. Remember, those index options expire at 4:15 while the security options expire at 4 p.m. Okay, now if you look down here, these are bulls and bears. Okay, so these are all in uptrends over their 17 EMA. If they got a little star next to them, that means they're building out a launch pad to take off higher. Okay, no guarantees that they take off higher, but they're building out a launch pad. Okay, I've seen them build out a launch pad, and then I see the launch pad get crushed sometimes with no launch. All right, over here we've got these are all bearish. Okay, they're in downtrends. All right, and they're under their 17 EMA. Okay, if they got a little star next to them, like that one right there, okay, that means they've built a platform, all right, which they've dropped down onto, all right, and then they're building it out to the right to drop down even lower, all right. So that's on a star, okay, on those. So if they had a star over here or over here, if it's over here, I'd look for a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. If it was over here, I'd look for the 10-minute downtrend under VWAP, okay? So watch those for the breakdowns or the breakouts, breakouts up here, okay? Let's go take a look at the charts today. You can see here SPY on the 10. You can see at the very last hour, okay, you're under, you're over, you're under. So it's really just consolidation on top of VWAP there. Anytime you're up over VWAP, I consider that to be bullish, especially if you've got some space between VWAP and the price action. Yesterday, we traded 10-minute uptrend. It was the continuation of the previous day's 10-minute uptrend right here. So we're looking for a green candle and a continuation of that 10-minute uptrend. You can see price action continued up with that uptrend up over VWAP, and we were in that. We bought that, and we traded it until it ended. Then it pulled back to VWAP. I bought the dip, all right, and then we started another uptrend, okay, and then we dipped again. I bought the dip, all right. Then we started another uptrend, which was over briefly right there. So there's SPY on the 10-minute chart, okay, and you look, price action has moved up, and it's holding the higher ground, okay? So why buy the dip? All right, let's take the quad lines and let's explain that, all right? So we don't get, okay? So we take the quad lines, and you can see we're in the upper third, okay? See that? You're in the upper third. So from that low up to the highs, if we're in the upper third, all right, I'm bullish. All right, up there. If it's up there, I'm bullish in the upper third. Okay, if it's in the lower third, then I'm bearish. All right, if it's in between, I'm neutral. So I bought the dip because it was in the upper third. See that? Right there, in the upper third. So I bought the dip. Okay, on both those. Both dips. Okay, because price was in the upper third. All right, so there's SPY on the 10-minute chart. Okay, why buy the dip? Because it's in the upper third. On top of that, see these two tails? Tails kind of show me where the buyers are. All right, so the bulls bought it right back up over VWAP, and it came back down one more time. And, you got to say, I'll take some of that. And price rallied back up, made a new high. So with a higher low, guess what happened? The bulls were inspired to make a higher high. We have another higher low. We'll see where we go with that, whether we're going to make another higher high. We'll see what happens, all right? But it's looking good. We'll see what happens. Right now, we are at 646.93. Remember, SPY made new all-time high yesterday, okay? Doesn't get any better than that. And it closed the day at the end of the day near, very, very near the high of the day. So there's SPY, okay? So, by the way, this morning, all right, we get the leftover residual effects of whatever's going on in NVIDIA. Not sure what's going on there, okay? And then we've got GDP opening up, actually reporting at 8:30 today, okay? So Like to get done with this before 8:30 so I could trade the open right there, or the pre-market. There's 10 minutes, okay? 2-hour chart. We've got the 3 on top of the 8, okay? 3 is the yellow line, on top of the 8 is the white line, okay? That is a 2-hour uptrend, okay? Notice price, the 3, the 8, all up over the rising 17, okay? So we have a 2-hour uptrend. Hey, by the way, in case you didn't know it, all right, I'm going to do this one more time. Actually, I'm going to do it until this monthly uptrend is over, all right? This is what I'm going to say, all right? My favorite, all right, is a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP inside of a 2-hour uptrend, inside of a daily uptrend, inside of a weekly uptrend, inside of a monthly uptrend, all right? I will continue to drill that, all right, till everybody that knows me understands that, okay? I like 10-minute uptrend over VWAP that's inside of a 2-hour uptrend, that's inside of the daily uptrend, that's inside of the weekly uptrend, that's inside of the monthly uptrend. I've got all of the bigger time frames, okay, supporting that 10-minute uptrend over VWAP, okay? So I'm going to trade all of them, every 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. I'm going to trade, okay? So there we go, all right? So SPY, that's my favorite, all right? You're not going to have these forever, okay? Let me just say, 6 months from now, I do not think you will have these, all right? There'll be something in a downtrend. It might be the daily and the weekly. I don't know which one it's going to be, but there'll be something that's not in an uptrend, all right? Okay, so there's SPY. I like 10-minute uptrend over VWAP inside that 2-hour and all of the higher time frames, all right, in uptrends as well, okay, supporting the price action moving up. Okay, so there it is, okay, and I'll probably say it again when I do the game plan, all right, I'll probably say it again, all right, so there's SPY, 2-hour in an uptrend. On the daily chart, take a look at what we did. Of course, we did a new all-time high, all right? Higher low, higher high, closing over the trap. Over the 17, okay, it's a new all-time high, all right? It's the top of quadrant 4. It's in an uptrend, and it's still bullish. The markets are still bullish, okay? The markets are still bullish, all right? So trading counter trend is not in our best interest. Not to say that it won't work out. I'm just saying, let's find those 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. All right, I think those have a better chance of working out than playing counter trend. All right, markets are bullish, really bullish. All right, weekly chart. Okay, see the green dots? That's an uptrend. See the 3 on top of the 8. See the price on top of the 3. See the stack? That's what I call the stack. Okay, so the stack is working. All right, and no exhaustion candles yet either, okay? That's even better news, okay? So here's the igniting candle, all right? And we haven't seen any exhaustion candles. This is looking fantastic. That's the weekly chart. Here's the monthly chart, okay? See all the green dots, uptrend. See the price on top of the 3, on top of the 8, on top of the 17, okay? Monthly uptrend, looking fantastic, all right? And no exhaustion candles. Gotta love that, okay? So there's SPY on the monthly chart, weekly chart, daily chart. We're in uptrends. This is bullish, all right? So there's SPY. Let's take a look at QQQ. All right, QQQ. Let's go back to the daily, okay? QQQ, same as SPY. Higher low, higher high. Not a new all-time high, though. Closed over, bullish trap over the flat 17 there. Okay, you can see it up there at the top of quadrant 4. That's bullish, making higher lows, and look at that, higher highs. So it's in an uptrend, and it's up top of quadrant 4. That's bullish. All right, let's take a look at Diamond Dow. All right, Diamond Dow, same thing, higher high, higher low, closing over the trap, over the 17, top of quadrant 4. That's bullish. Got a higher low, got a higher high, and in an uptrend. Okay, everything is bullish right here. Okay, let's take a look at IWM. IWM puts in a new rally high. This is the April low. That is the rally high made right there yesterday. At the closing the day, at the end of the day, showing some heat, showing some strength, all right? IWM, higher low, higher high, closing over the trap, over the 17 in the middle of quadrant 4. That's bullish. You got a low, you got a higher high. See that? Got a low, got a higher low, got a high, got a higher high. In an uptrend, okay? IWM, FNGU. Okay, FNGU, up at the top of quadrant 4, in the middle of quadrant 4. That's bullish. All right, we're in a downtrend, but get this. This downtrend's not working. This downtrend's not moving down. We're moving over to the right. Okay, we've moved up and over to the right. We're planking. We're holding the higher ground up here. Okay, we're actually kind of consolidating. Okay, right now. Okay, so price action. You can see right here, we got into this low in this downtrend because we took out that low right there. We made a lower low. The only way to negate the downtrend is to make a higher high. We came close, but no cigar, okay? So we're still stuck in the downtrend, okay? But get this, ever since we made this low, we're not moving any lower, okay? So we're actually either moving up, which we did there, or we're moving over to the right, okay? So we got a failed downtrend or a downtrend that's just not working. So there's FNGU. That is bullish up there holding the higher ground. Anytime price moves up, holds the higher ground, that is a show of strength. That's like holding a chin up, all right, for an hour, or planking for an hour, okay? That is a show of strength when you hold the higher ground, okay? That's FNGU. Now we watch FNGU, okay? It is an ETN, all right? It happens to have only 10 securities, but get this, those 10 securities are some of the most heavily weighted in the SPY and the QQQ. So when these 10 inside this right here move as a pack, okay, they will typically drag the indexes right along with them. All right, we'll take a look at a few others and then we'll look at the technicals. Okay, let's take a look at silver and then silver, gold, and oil and gas. Okay, so here's silver, bullish. Okay, see in the middle of quadrant 4, that's bullish. Okay, you got a high, we made a higher high, and in an uptrend. Silver, bullish, and in an uptrend. Yesterday's candle, lower high, lower low, closing inside the bullish trap, but over the 17 EMA. Gold, still, this is a 4-month plank. See that up there, over 300. Okay, just winding up. This is coiling up. That's what I feel like it's doing. It's coiling up to make a breakout. I think I got 350 on the brain. We'll see what happens. All right, but this is coiling up, holding the higher ground, top of quadrant 4. That's bullish. Gold in an uptrend. All right, because they made, yeah, there's a high there. They made a higher high. So they're in an uptrend on gold on the daily chart. And they're bullish. Up there, consolidating at the top of quadrant 4. And it looks like a windup to me. It actually looks like a pennant, upside pennant. We'll see what happens. All right, upside wedge. All right, let's take a look at UNG. All right, UNG, remember I was talking about this in the monologue this morning that not yesterday, but the day before made a new all-time low right there. Yesterday's candle is this red one right here. That's a higher low and a higher high closing inside. See the bearish trap because we got candles and the 3 underneath the 8 and all 3 of them underneath the falling 17, okay? You can tell it's falling because it keeps going lower and lower and lower. See the red dots there? That's falling 17, okay? So that was an all-time low right there for UNG, all right? It's kind of sad with all of the inflation that's going on. And you got one of our major, I'm just going to say it, products for energy, okay, which is natural gas, is making new all-time lows. Something stinks, all right? All right? You know how they put the rotten egg smell inside the gas? So you get it? You get it? It's kind of like a joke. Something stinks, all right? So there's UNG anyways, okay? Still in a downtrend and bearish. Tough crowd. Tough crowd. No laughter in here. All right, let's go take a look at technicals. T2122. This is the breadth. Okay, this is the force, the momentum behind the bullish move. Okay, it got increased yesterday. Okay, see that? We popped up. Yep, remember to tip your bartender. Right, yes, Jim, thanks. Okay, so right up here, we got more breath. That would be like you know, breathing to push wind into the sails, okay? Well, it increased yesterday, so we got more breath coming in out of from the market, pushing this uptrend higher, okay? So it's increasing. See, we had a little dip here earlier, all right? Then we had a turnaround off of some, looks like some economic numbers, or maybe some rate cuts kind of scheduled. We'll see. But anyways, the breadth is increasing. All right? That is a good sign for the uptrend. Okay? Very good sign. Okay? So, I don't know how high it's going to go, but it's looking good right there. Okay? That's looking fantastic. It's 15-minute chart. Looking good, increasing more than yesterday. Look at the gap up and holding the higher ground. That's bullish right there. That's on the breadth. T2122. We spent the day in the overbought zone, but not up in the 99 or 100 level. Okay, so we could hang out here for 7 or 8 days. I'm just saying, just because we're here doesn't mean we're going to sell off. But if we do get up around that 99, 100 level, good chance we will have a pullback if we get up that high. 96, 95. We could hang out here for 8 or 9 days. All right, in the overbought zone. It's just looking good. All right, so that's bullish up there. In case you didn't know that, being up here above the buyer's chop zone, above the buy zone, that is bullish up there. Okay, T2123, of course, that represents what the market did. Got a bullish gap up. All right, notice the bears could not fill this before noon. Okay, when the bears can't fill the bullish gap before noon, that is a bullish outlook on the day. Okay, you got green from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. See all these bullish gap ups, bullish gap up here. Okay, not filled by the bears. Okay, these are clues. Okay, bullish gaps that aren't filled by the bears. These are little clues to look for those 10-minute uptrends. All right, move up and over to the right. Okay, look at this. Move up again, bullish gap up, and over to the right. See them hold the higher ground at the end of the day. Okay, they may quit early. Looks like some of them quit at 10 o'clock. Some of them quit at noon. This one just didn't quit. Okay, you can see price action moving up. Another bullish gap. Still not filled by the bears. Way back here. Okay. Another bullish gap not filled by the bears. Okay, see a pattern here? Okay, the market's on fire. Okay, this is bullish. We're looking good. All right, so far we're looking good. Okay, Nvidia earnings not too certain about those, but other than that, this was looking really strong. We're up over the 200 SMA. That's bullish. Okay, we make highs. We're making higher highs. Okay, for T2123, that's a new rally high. For T2123, new recovery rally high, right there. Okay, that's in an uptrend. That's bullish. All right, let's look at the 3 bar. Here's the 3 bar. Okay, here's the all-time high. Here's the valley low. Okay, notice we transitioned. We climbed all the way back up. And on top of the 200 SMA. Okay, this is a 3 bar chart. Okay, you see us up here at the top of quadrant 4? That's bullish. All right, you see the all-time high right there? Look how close we are to making new all-time highs. Okay, that's huge. New all-time highs. Okay, and this is all brought to you by your friends at the inflation department, okay? Because this is what inflation does, all right? it brings in more revenue on the top line, all right, which should transcend to more revenue on the bottom line, which equals higher earnings. And then higher earnings give you what? A better multiple or a better price, okay? And hence you get the market growth. Now for the consumer in us, it sucks because we're now paying more for our goods and services. But when you get inflation, you get this reaction, new market highs. Okay, every action has a reaction, okay? This is the reaction. All right, you're up over the 200 SMA. That's bullish. T2123. We are off to set some new all-time highs. We're this close. I think we're going to do it. I really do, okay? This is looking fantastic. All right, let's take a look at FNGU. Again, this is the one. All right, this is the 10 of the most heavily weighted securities in QQQ and SPY. All right, so this is all pre-market in the shaded section. This is yesterday's action. See the 27th. Okay, green out of the gate. Okay, see the price hanging out over VWAP. That's bullish. All right, even if it's just leaning on it, but it's over VWAP, that's a bullish outlook. That's a bullish sentiment. All right, see right here, over VWAP. That's a bullish outlook, bullish sentiment. We went lower, but all day we stayed on top. Most all of the day on top of VWAP, which brings us to a bullish outlook the following day, and look at where we are. See those 10-minute uptrends, pull back to VWAP, bulls by the dip, okay, and then we got another 10-minute uptrend, all right, pull back to VWAP, bulls by the dip again, okay. You see what's going on? We're up over the 200 SMA. That's bullish, okay. So the buying program from, here's the bulls rescuing the price. Price action started right here, so that'd be the start of the day. Bullish from the beginning to the end of the day with a couple of bullish pullbacks. Got some higher lows, and of course the bulls are inspired to make higher highs. Okay, so there's FNGU on the 15-minute. All right, let's take a look at the economic package. Then we're going to go look at the game plans and set us up for the day. Okay. Thank you in advance, Alan, for sharing GDP. GDP should be coming out in about a couple minutes. All right, here's the dollar. All right, dollar's in a downtrend. Okay, this right here is major support. Okay, so this, all these little valleys right through here, this is all support. This is all major support. So right through here, okay, is major support. We came down and broke major support, and we are in a sloppy bear flag right now. We're actually in a little downtrend. We were in an uptrend. We're in a little downtrend inside of our bear flag right here, okay? So we're still in a downtrend, the U.S. dollar, okay? That sucks because a weak dollar means we have to pay more, okay? That means we got to use more dollars to buy goods and services, okay? Not to mention the inflation, that hurts us too, okay? But anyways, that was the major support, all of those valleys of all of this consolidation for 3 years. All right, and we broke below it, and we tested the backside, and we could not get up there and hold back above it. So we could not recover. So now we are in a bear flag underneath minor resistance. Okay, that was major support before when we were up above it, and now it's minor resistance up above. Okay, so there's US dollar in a downtrend right there, okay? That's great for the markets because what that does is it makes, when we go to sell our goods and services in foreign countries, hence we're going to get GDP here in a minute or so, all right? So you're going to see the effect of a weak dollar on GDP, which should increase GDP, meaning we're going to sell. It should bring the trade deficit down, okay? Meaning we have a trade deficit. A trade deficit is when we take in more than we sell out, okay? That's a trade deficit from other countries, okay? If we improve our trade deficit, in other words, we take in more than what we did last year, that'll be an increase, all right, in GDP, which means gross domestic product. That's how much revenue we're taking in to the USA from other countries, okay? That's big. That's huge, okay? That's a benchmark that every president tries to improve upon. Some are successful, some are not, okay? But there we go. There's the U.S. dollar. Let's look at, what else? Max Pain for today, okay? Max Pain, 645. That's for the SPY options that expire today. Put to call ratio, 1.1 put to each call that expires today at 4:15. So the SPY Max Pain is 645. Well, we're kind of just hovering around there anyways, so that's not a big deal right there. Okay, earnings. All right, last night NVIDIA reported, okay, only $4.4 trillion, that's all. Okay, so they reported last night. Didn't seem like a huge sell-off, but there was no bounce either. Okay, so there's last night. Again, CrowdStrike reported. I think they didn't do so well either. All right, Thursday. Let's take a look at Thursday. Toronto Dominion Bank, $129 billion. They're going to report this morning. Dell Technologies, $88 billion. They're going to report tonight. Tech usually reports in the evening. Retail usually reports in the morning. Okay, so we'll see what happens. Again, more familiar names, but nothing here that's market moving like NVIDIA could be. Okay, I got to tell you, NVIDIA's numbers were not bad at all. I liked them, but they didn't get the pop. Maybe it was already priced in. We'll see. Okay, so there's Friday. All right, Alibaba's going to report $282 billion. They're going to report in the morning. All right, and other than that, just some familiar names, but nothing that's market moving. Okay, $282 billion reporting Friday morning. Okay, we've got PCE coming in tomorrow. Economic calendar. Okay, GDP 830 right here. Jobless claims 830. Corporate profits 830. Pending home sales index, 10 o'clock. Gas report, 10:30. Almost every Thursday, get the gas report at 10:30. Okay. On Friday, that's tomorrow. International trades and goods and services, 8:30. Personal income and outlays, that's the one. 8:30 tomorrow. Retail inventories, 8:30. Wholesale inventories, 8:30. Chicago PMI, 945. Consumer sentiment at 10. And a rig count at 1 as always on Friday. All right, that's it for me. All right, see what GDP says. The consensus was 228 to 236. We made 229, okay? So kind of right in line right there on jobless claims. Actually on the low side, that was jobless claims, not GDP. Okay, so the consensus was 228,000 to 236,000. We came in with 229,000. That's the low end of the range. Okay, not too bad right there. Okay, what else we got? GDP, here it comes. 3.3, that's a respectable number. Okay, anything over 3 is a respectable number. Quarter over quarter, that's fantastic. Like to see 4. I'll take 3.3. That's awesome. All right, the consensus was 3.0 to 3.2. Well, we did better than the consensus. Okay, it's showing you that weak dollar could be working for us. All right, so there's GDP. All right, that's it. Let's go take a look at the markets, see how we're going to trade them. Let's take a look at SPY game plan. And let's move this back to FNGU. And let's go hit the SPY game plan, which is, it's going to be one of these two. Let's try this one. Let's try this one. Let's try the pre-market. Yeah, that's the one we want. Okay. So there's UNG. Let's take a look at SPY. Alrighty. All right. So SPY pivot, 640.30, 645.30. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Okay, so SPY pivot right there. Price action is above most of yesterday's price action, okay? Hovering over yesterday's price action is a bullish outlook, okay? That would be consolidation over prior consolidation. That is a bullish stance. That is a bullish outlook. Now, if they lose that, it's not the same look anymore, all right? But right now, all morning long, you can see we're up over yesterday's close, okay? That is a bullish stance. That's a bullish outlook. I will be looking for those 10-minute uptrends to manifest sometime here today, okay? So that's SPY, all right? I'm going to block off this area right here, okay? That high, all right? Wherever that high winds up being, because it may change, okay, 30 minutes from now. That low, okay? If we get below this low, even though if it goes lower, all right, I'm going to be bearish below that low, okay? Because that's like the new pivot right through there, okay? So below that low, probably be bearish, coming down to the pivot and maybe even lower. Okay, so there's SPY. Okay, so that's 10-minute. So I mark off the high. This is the pre-market. And I mark off the low. I look for the breakout of either side to trade to the upside if they break out on the north. On the southern direction, I would be puts on the south side. Okay? And I'm also going to mark off the first 15 minutes. Okay, so I'll put it on the 5-minute chart. And then we'll mark off the first 15 minutes. Okay? And whoever breaks out of that first 15 minutes opening range, I will look to trade that in the direction that they break out. Of course, to the upside will be calls. To the downside will be puts. Let me just say, okay, noticing this right here, and not much of a sell-off with NVIDIA. All right, I'm just going to say that I am really not that interested in trading counter trend. Okay? I think I'd be better served just to not take a trade than to trade counter trend. And the reason being, okay, all of the larger time frames are still bullish and in uptrends, okay? I'm just putting that out there in case you get a pullback, all right? Keep that in mind, all right? So there's SPY, all right? Now, you got a green erases red entry over 647.30. Red erases green down here under 644 if you want to trade it, okay? If a 10-minute uptrend happens to manifest down here long before the green erases red entry and it breaks the bullish 10-minute rubber band candle, I will be interested in trading that to the upside, okay? On the downside, if a 10-minute downtrend happens to manifest, like maybe up here or over here, long before it gets to the red erases green entry, I will look at it, okay? I'm not going to say I'm going to trade it, but I'm going to say the opportunity is there for me to trade it, okay, to the downside. I don't have to wait till it gets below 644 to trade that 10-minute downtrend. I'm just saying that. I don't have to wait, okay? I could trade it if I want to. Probably won't because all of the bigger time frames are still bullish, all right? But I'm just saying it's there if I want to trade it, all right? It would be part of my repertoire to trade it to the downside, okay? But given this environment, which is unusually bullish, all right, I probably won't be enticed to trade counter trend, okay? Just saying, until I see some sort of break in price action, okay? So I like 1 day till expiration Friday options on the multiple of 5, $3 to $15 out of the money strikes, okay? Same thing, 8 days till expiration Friday options, all right, on the multiple of 5, $3 to $15 out of the money strikes, okay? I'm going to say it. This is here it comes. One more time. I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, breaking up and away, okay, from VWAP. I like them when they're in the 2-hour uptrend, that's inside the daily uptrend, that's inside the weekly uptrend, that's inside the monthly uptrend, okay? That's what I like, okay? I like 10-minute downtrends that are breaking down and away from VWAP. All right, again, those will be counter trend. Be careful. All right, so that's the SPY game plan. The same thing goes for QQQ. All right, All right, everybody, have a beautiful afternoon. Let's do a good job. We did a great job yesterday. Let's do it again today, okay? So I'll see you guys all in about 40 minutes, right after I render my video. Thank you so much, everybody here in the room, Digital Land, Podcast Land. Thank you so much. All right, I'll see you guys in about, like I said, about 40 minutes. Thank you.